All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the impact recap. Of course, you guys can interrupt me at any time if you like. But the opening segment was a promo from Frankie Kazarian. So he comes to the ring. He's celebrating his victory over JDC at Final Resolution, where JDC passed out rather than tapped out. Kazarian boasted about retiring JDC and declaring himself the face of TNA as it enters the AMC era. He also said, step aside Heisenberg and step aside Daryl Dixon. I can't remember which one he said, but a couple of the other characters from AMC and said he's going to be the face. And then at that point, Mike Santana entered through the crowd. He cut Kazarian off. He had a fiery promo. He did it both in Spanish and English. And they called him a culero. They really needed some Mexican talent on this show. The fact that they had no Mexican talent where they were able to sell a couple thousand ticks a night is pretty impressive. I think it would have been a bigger and hotter crowd had they had some Mexican talent. It's like, bro, you're partners with WWE. It can't be that hard to get AAA talent. And if you can't get AAA talent, there's lots of independent Mexican wrestling talent all over Mexico that you could have got and brought them on and just had a couple of Lucha Libre showcase matches each night. I think that would have helped, and the crowd was still really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not insulting the crowd, but I just man, you're in El Paso. Get some Mexican talent. Get some Lucha Libre. He hyped the El Paso audience, accused Kazarian of opportunistically seizing the title. So at that point, he's like, I almost respect you, but I don't. I thought that was pretty funny, and warned him to watch his back. Santana channeled his inner anger and to vow to lead TNA to victory in next week's steel cage match against the NXT Invaders. Then cash in his contractual rematch to challenge Kazarian for the TNA World title at Genesis on January 17 in Dallas, Texas. All right. Real quick. Can we all be adults here for just 1 second? You guys are all over the internet. So you know that the match is happening on January 15th instead already. Okay. So I know it's an angle that's going to play out on television, but I hope none of you are watching this like, oh, Mike, you spoiled it. It's like, no, I really didn't. Like, everybody already knows. It's all over the internet, and you guys are all over the internet. So let's not pretend that I spoiled that. Okay. So right now the story is that he's going to challenge January 17th in Dallas, Texas. Okay, here's what Mike Gilbert would do. This is what Mike would do, okay? You do Mike Santana defeating Frankie Kazarian on the 15th on AMC, and then Nick Nemeth comes down to the ring to cash in his Money in the Bank, whatever they call it. But Mike Santana doesn't have his ass kicked yet. He's, doing pretty good. And Nemeth's like, I'm not challenging you right now, but I want the match at Genesis. I want to be the headliner for the pay-per-view. And then he challenges him for the pay-per-view. There's precedent for that. Frankie did it just last year with the Rebellion. So I think that's the move. That way you have Nemeth's a big star, and I think you're going to want him to headline the Genesis pay-per-view, and you do Mike Santana versus Frank versus Nemeth. I think that's the way to go. Okay. Backstage promo. You got Lexus King and the NXT B team, including Stax and the High Rise and all them. They cut a backstage promo dismissing TNA as resilient but doomed. They mocked Matt Cardona as a backyard wrestler and claimed the Hardys had lost their souls despite a recent win. And Stax criticized Santino Marella as being a bad father, and the group affirmed their readiness for the steel cage match. You know what? I don't like the fact that these guys are all jobbers from NXT. That makes TNA look weak, that these guys are coming in here wreaking havoc, winning matches, winning titles because they're all geeks on NXT. But that said, I thought this was a good promo. I do think that they're entertaining. They mostly suck, but at least like in some of these instances they're entertaining. Hey, did anybody notice that Robbie E is no longer in the group? It's like he just ditched the group and now he's managing Tessa and Victoria Crawford. That makes me think that Robbie E is just TNA now. Like maybe they just like, you know what? Fuck it. You're in TNA now. Like that's just your job. because he went from managing the top heel group in the company to managing Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford, just out of nowhere, like no rhyme or reason. He just left the invasion, and he's managing a D-level tag team. But there you go. All right. And then the first match, we get Lexis King versus Matt Cardona. The match sucked. It was not any good. I was embarrassed watching it. Lexis King stinks. And of course, Stax rolled him up. Stax rolled him up. Not Stax. Stax did the distraction, and Lexis King rolled him up. So that's how you got So that's how they got it. So I don't know. The whole thing was just crap. And then now Cardona's hurt, so he's out of the main event. Oh gosh, what did I do? Shit. Hey, there was this really funny joke on Twitter, and I was trying to pull it up, so I ran a search. So I did a search for adult pineapple Cardona, because somebody said I would rather shit out an adult pineapple than watch Lexis King versus Matt Cardona. But if you run a search on Twitter with adult pineapple, it's not good. It's like, don't do it. Like, if you got a wife and kids, don't do that. You're going to get in trouble. I assure you. All right. But I thought that was a good joke. But, Lexis King lost a match to some toothless guy on Tuesday night in 2 minutes. And then here he is beating one of the top stars in TNA. Now, he cheated. Okay, I get the story that they're telling. They got to try to make these NXT guys look a little bit strong as they're heading into the big cage match. I don't think it's working. I do think they're entertaining, but I don't think it's working to where people take them as a serious threat, even with Stax holding that title. I don't think it's working. Everybody sees these guys as geeks, and it's going to take a long time for any of them to get that off, to get that stink off of them. Backstage, Lei Ying Lee and Xia Brookside. So Knockouts World Champion Lei Ying Lee and Xia Brookside reflected on their final resolution match where Lee retained against the Angel Warrior ally. They expressed mutual respect and reaffirmed their bond. Tessa Blanchard, Victoria, and Mila Moore and Robert Stone interrupted, the aforementioned Robert Stone, with Blanchard trash-talking them and asserting her status as a former world champion, claiming she could take the Knockouts title at any time. Well, if that were the case, you would have done it already, you dumb. Plus, you were the Impact champion. You were never TNA champion. Shut the fuck up. All right. Now we get to the second match, Heather and M by Elegance versus Harley Hudson and Mila Grace. We finally got them on television and a tag team. They've been on Explosion. It's like, why can't we get these girls on the main show? It's about damn time. And it looks like we got a few tag teams. We got Inspiration. We got the Elegance brand. We got Harley and Mila. You got Victoria Crawford and Mila Moore. I think it's Mila. So you got Mila and Mila. That's confusing. Somebody's got to change their name. So that way old people like me don't get confused. But the Elegance brand was dressed as elves. They brought fake presents but withheld them, and then sparking a pre-bell brawl. M faked an ankle injury for Heather to cheap shot Hudson and missed a senton, allowing Hudson to tag Grace, who hit an inverted butterfly suplex for a near fall and a code red to eliminate M temporarily. Hudson grabbed a gift from the concierge and hit him with it. Grace rolled up Heather, but M pulled Heather on top from the floor for the pinfall. This match was okay. Harley Hudson seems a little bit green to me. Like, she seemed like she was struggling a little bit. I think, Mila Grace has got some more experience. She's got that Japan experience, but just because she's green doesn't mean she didn't belong on TV. Like, get her more reps. Get this team more reps. I like the team. Would have liked to see the match to be a little bit longer, but I guess they see that they got limitations. So, but the Elegance brand stays strong. I get the feeling they're wrestling the Inspiration coming up soon. Then they went to the Bioflex report, and of course, Matt Cardona is out. Backstage, Jim Miller interviewed Rich Swann. So Swann explained turning on AJ Francis as the final resolution by hitting him with the X Division title, declaring he's tired of disrespect as a former X Division and world champion. He ended First Class. Francis ambushed Swann, stomping on him, proclaiming, "If you're not first class, you're last." So looks like that's going to be the next big feud. First Class appears to be dead, although at any point I think Francis could bring in some folks to be in his group with him. So now we get to the six-way match of the night by far, I think. Six-way scramble for X Division, and including the main event. I'll get to that. Six-way scramble for the X Division number one contendership. Cedric Alexander versus BDE. That was right. He was in this match. Jason Hotch versus Ryan Nemeth, the turkey suit guy, getting a title shot here, or getting in a number one contender match. Desmond Xavier versus Jake something. Not gonna lie, I was hoping Desmond Xavier would win this, but it went to Cedric Alexander, which tells me that Cedric's staying. But Ali joined commentary. Chaos ensued. Something shoulder blocked everyone while running the ropes. Alexander BDE and Xavier triple teamed with super kicks on something. Spots included Xavier's cutter on Nemeth, Hotch's suplex attempt countered into Xavier's roll up near fall, Hotch's neck breaker on Xavier or Alexander. Okay, I can't read all this shit. BDE hit a cutter on Xavier for a near fall. BDE hit a frog splash on Jake something, interrupted by Alexander's lumbar check on BDE for the pin in 10 minutes. So that was a really fun match. It was really good. And it looks like we're going to get, I would assume we're going to get Cedric Alexander at the pay-per-view, and Myron Reed at AMC. That would be Mike's pick, but maybe they do Alexander at AMC, and then I don't know what they're going to do for the pay-per-view. Backstage, the system, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers discussed testing Sinner and Saint's worthiness to replace JDC. Eddie and JDC shared a moment, JDC vowing to bring it in their Genesis match coming up. So, yeah, that'll be JDC's retirement match. It'll be JDC and Eddie Edwards at Genesis. And then backstage, Kazarian demanded Santino cancel Santana's rematch. Santino booked a 20-person battle royal next week, and the winner faces Kazarian for the title in 3 weeks, not on the AMC premiere. NXT blamed Santino for Cardona's injury, demanding a 5-on-4 steel cage match. So Stacks disrespected Ariana Grace's father, and Grace then slapped Stacks for disrespecting Santino. So they're laying the seeds. They're laying the seeds. And then we go to a good little match, the 5-minute deal with the system, Brian and Myers and Eddie Edwards versus Sinner and Saint. Are they ever going to get behind Sinner and Saint? It doesn't seem like it. I don't think they've ever won a tag team match. They were with Josh Alexander. I thought that group was cool, called the Northern Alliance or whatever it was called. And then they moved over to Eric Young, and then that didn't work. And now they're doing nothing, but here they are against Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, and I thought they looked great. They're a little small, but I think they can get behind them. And then Matt and Jeff Hardy hyped TNA's biggest year in the AMC era, and they're defending TNA against NXT. Jeff sang he sang his obsolete song, and they requested a passionate replacement for Cardona. At that point, the Righteous interrupt, and they're doing the snapping and the song, and the crowd just doesn't know what to make of the Righteous just yet. The Righteous kind of has that Wyatt vibe, but it's more it's like still original, but they got the Wyatt vibe and the snapping, and the crowd just isn't into it just yet. I think the production needs to help the Righteous out a little bit with that. Maybe the lights go down a little bit longer, and they, maybe at this point that's when they can bring in some of the lights and all that stuff, or have people snapping in the audience, but they're just not there yet. But I have hope that the group will get over in TNA. I don't think it's not an act that'll get over in AEW, not an act that'll get over in WWE. I think it's an act that'll get over in TNA. And when I was looking at Vincent and Dutch, I was like, these fucking guys are perfect for AMC. They're perfect. They look right out of central casting from an AMC TV show. Not just The Walking Dead. Like they have like any of the crime shows they have. Like these guys, okay, Mad Men maybe not, but like Vincent looks like a guy that would be living in a van in Albuquerque. I mean that with the utmost respect, but he does. So like I could see him on Breaking Bad, or I could see him on Walking Dead for sure. But the Righteous interrupt. Vincent and Dutch, put them over as God Among Mortals. Revolutionized tag wrestling. They're basically just trying to get in their heads the whole time. Didn't work though. But they're trying to just, freak out the Hardy Boys. I'm surprised they didn't bring up the fact that the Righteous holds a victory over the Hardys. Or did they? I don't think they did. Next, we get an announcement. Santino Marella replaces... the one gripe I had with the Hardys and Righteous, too long. That's why I'm not really going into it. It just lasted forever. It seemed like they can get in and out of these things in like 3 or 4 minutes. They don't need to go 10 minutes, but you can get to where you're going in 3. Santino came out and announced that he would be the one to replace the injured Matt Cardona in next week's Steel Cage for Team TNA. So there you go. All right, main event. We get to the dog collar match: Danny Luna versus Indy Hartwell. All right, I thought the match was okay. I didn't think that this was a great match, but what I did come away with it, irregardless of like the quality of the match, I just something was missing from the match. And that something was the blood. And then they got the blood, and I thought the blood did make the match better. If they didn't have that blood, it would have been probably like an average to bad match. But with the blood, it took an average match to be pretty good. That said, I didn't think that this was some classic like main event, but I did think that it was a star-making performance for Danny Luna. And in fact, it just reinforced my point that I made back in September when Ashley Elegance went down, that Danny Luna should have been the one to replace her. And a lot of people are like, Mike, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I was like, shut up. I do know what I'm talking about. I can spot talent, and I spotted in Danny Luna. I think she's great. She does great promos. She's got a great look. She's got a great character, and she can fucking hoop in the ring. She's really freaking good. And now she's out there bleeding like a stuck pig. You can tell that she loves this shit. She loves it. She just turned heel. She's a really good heel. And she's in there having like a good match with Indy Hartwell. You know how fucking hard that is? Tessa Blanchard had a bad match with Indy Hartwell. Nobody can have a good match with Indy Hartwell, except for obviously Danny Luna, right? Because the matches that she's done and with Indy have been pretty good. And she won this feud. Now, I do think that Indy will probably end up getting the last laugh at some point. I don't see a reason why they should wrestle anytime soon. If I'm booking this company, and I'm not, but if I am, at Genesis, Danny Luna beats Lei Ying Lee. And that's your new champion. Lei Ying Lee can go back to tag team. And I like Lei Ying Lee. Like, I don't think she's a bad champion at all. If she has a run, I happen to be okay with that. But I'm just like, my preference would be that Danny Luna take over the division. She should be on top of this division for sure. I think that she's really, really good. But yeah, needless to say, the match was like good, but it wasn't like great. Okay, update next week. We got Steel Cage match, Team TNA, Macklin, Morella, Matt and Jeff Hardy, and Mike Santana versus Lexis King, Tony D'Angelo, Stax, Brooks Jensen, and High Rise. Why is Charlie Dempsey not in the match? That's weird. Why would Lexis King be in it and not Charlie Dempsey? I don't know. So it's Lexis King, Stax, Brooks Jensen, and High Rise. Lexis King should not be in the match. Lexis King should be outside, and Charlie Dempsey should be in the match. But maybe they don't have Dempsey anymore. I mean, they already lost Robert Stone, and then maybe did they lose Dempsey already? I mean, Santana just wrestled him on Friday. Maybe he got hurt. I don't know. And then you got a 20-person battle royal. Winner gets a TNA World Title shot in 3 weeks, so the week before the AMC debut. So they'll get a shot against Frankie. Angel Warriors versus Mila Moore and Tessa Blanchard. And additionally, you got Kazarian defending the world. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was it for all that. Let me get to the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and send this bad boy home. We did an hour tonight, and I was kind of like a little lost tonight. But we did it as a family, guys. We did it as a family. Said Little Silver Jack says, yeah, I noticed that Robbie E contract might be up. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that. Said it's weird because he still does the Evolve announcing or something like that. Okay, Alvarez did say he noticed Stax works a better match in TNA than he typically does in NXT. Well, it's because he's positioned higher in TNA. In NXT, he's a geek. But in TNA, they have him into a higher position, so they're giving him more time and they're like letting him do more. Right? But I will say I haven't seen anything that made me impressed by him. Let's see. Tessa Blanchard became the Knockout champion in 2018. Okay, yeah, I know, dude. I'm kidding. Canelo says, Mike off the top rope. Beautiful Bobby Eaton style on Tessa Blanchard. Yeah. I want to say it was, I might have stolen a joke and forgot to give credit. I think that joke It's like, "Hey, you were the Impact champion. You're not TNA." I think that joke was in my group chat. It might have been Dobby. It probably was Godzilla, but I don't like to give him credit for anything, so it's probably Dobby that told that joke. Okay. Let's see. I like Cedric. George says I was hoping for Xavier too. We already got Ced versus Leon, and that was my thing. Like, with Cedric winning that 6-way, we already saw the match with Leon. They already kind of had a feud. So I'm like, we should be on to the next, But Ced has been winning a lot of matches lately. That tells me that they want to keep Ced around. And they had a good match. So, I mean, that's fine. I would have liked to see Desmond and Xavier, but that tells me that Desmond's probably not sticking around. I don't know. I don't know what to make of any of the roster stuff. We'll hopefully we'll get good news on that soon. Javon Evans just beat Miz on SmackDown. Not a huge name. He is a huge name. He's a big star there. He sucks, but he's a big star. That's pretty cool that Evans heading into Saturday night's main event tomorrow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for me this time on Brace for Impact. Sorry about missing Thursday night, but I made up for it on Friday night. I am going to go and watch a little bit of television before I conk out for the evening. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Thank you for joining me. Head to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, mahalo.